Hi, my name's Luis, and I'm from Unit 31. We specialize in utility underground work. And these are the basic tools that we use. I'm gonna start off first with the water. And for starters, this is the tubing cutters. We use these to cut copper anywhere ranging from 3/4 to 2 inch. And so we always just use this to cut the copper. As far as these right here, these are sizing tools. And you mainly use them when you're using a 2-inch pipe, 2-inch copper pipe, or 1.25 inch, which is hard to bend. So we have to put 90s, but you have to make sure that it's nice and round, and this is what we use these for, which is our sizing tool. So there's the 2-inch, and then this is the 1.5 inch, and those are the ones that are commonly more used for water. And right here, where is our basic pipe wrenches that you use. These pipe wrenches, you just use them for when you're doing your mechanical fittings, or for any other stuff that you might need your pipe wrenches as far as your blowouts. And this is part of this tool that they just got us. It's a vice grip. This is where you put your galvanized pipes to establish your blowouts. So this is what we use this with the pipe wrenches, and of course your Teflon tape or pipe dope, whatever you use. And this is a set of deep sockets. We use these deep sockets when we have to put we need the bolts. They'll be like probably about 3 inches long, so we need deep socket wrenches. So we use these when we're tying up your mechanical fittings. And then most of the time they go with this, which is your impact drill. Your impact drill is pretty basic, battery operated. You always have to make sure it's charged, because we use this a lot, especially when you're doing water tie-ins or dealing with water and tying up your mechanical fittings. And also they might ask you to turn off the water of a fire hydrant. This is a fire hydrant key. It's very basic too. You just put it over your fire hydrant and you just tighten it up, and you open it and close it. This right here, this is more for this is a harness that comes with the yo-yo. This is more for safety hazards. Like right now we're putting culvert boxes, storm drain boxes that are 11 feet high. So we have to put on this for safety precaution. This right here we use a lot. You use this especially for water, to cut rebar, anything like that. This we use a lot right here. And this is your submerged pump. This pump, this is a small one, but we usually use a 2-inch or 3-inch, depending on how much water you're taking out of a hole. Especially when you're doing tie-ins at night, we use the big pumps to take out all the water, because there's always going to be water in the lines. And these are basic wrenches that we use. Usually we use the 1.25 inch, so we always have 2 of those, or the 1 and 5/16, because mechanical fittings come in those sizes most of the time. With a hammer, you always use this to put in your rebar, time bolts. And as far as this right here, this is your instrument. This right here you use as far as to get your elevations, grades. So this goes with this. So basically the basic part of this is just your legs for your instrument. So whenever they ask you to get your instrument, it's always going to be a pair, which is going to be the instrument and your legs. And it's a basic setup. Just push it up, you clamp it down, you find a firm ground, and you just make sure that it's nice and level. And then you get your instrument right here and just put it on here, but you got to make sure it's level. And later on, whenever you start working here, they'll show you how to level this out. And you just tie in the bottom part of this, make sure it's normal height for whoever's going to use it, and then that's it. That's just a basic setup of this. But later on, like I said, you'll get to know more about it and how to use it and when they're gonna use it. And also, important note to this, you never want to put this sideways or upside down, because you could miscalibrate it. This is always calibrated. So that's for that. This is your rod. This goes with this. So this all goes together all the time. This is actually called a Philadelphia rod, but most people just know it by rod. This are the feet for your laser. This is also the same setup. You put your laser up, your legs, and this is the laser. This is the laser that we usually use for when you're laying sewer and storm drains. So what it does, it's a self-leveling laser. So you just put it on here, and again, you tighten it from the bottom. You put it on there, And the only difference with this, you got this level right here. I don't know if you want to see it, but there's a level right here that tells you where to separate your legs, how far you got to separate it until you get it level. Once it's level, you're set, because this right here, it levels out itself, and you'll see it once you turn it on. And then when you turn it on, you always just got to make sure, according to plans, that you're negative or positive, and you're gonna have a percentage that the prints tell you, and that's what you're gonna put in here. You have to program that in there. And you always have to make sure it's off too, and always that it's in a safe place where it's not gonna get messed up, because these are kind of expensive. And then when you're dealing with storm drains, we tend to use all these hooks, this is one of the bigger ones, but we have a bigger one that we're using right now since we're doing 11x6 boxes today. This, you can use it for a lot of things. We use it to pull out manholes, to attach manholes to it. Later on, you'll notice that most manholes have 2 ears on each side. So that's why we got these 2 hooks. And that's what we use this for. And right here, this is to pick up the covert boxes. We put these in the hole, and this one has 4 holes, so we have to use 4 of these. And these actually go with a cut, which would be one of these. Oh, here it is. This cup right here. So depending how many holes the covert box has, you'll have this right here, and you hook this on here like this, and that's how the box goes. And then somebody's gonna have to be at the bottom and take it off every time you put a box in. So that's what you use that for. But for the most part, this is, I don't know if I told, this is the quick saw. So we use this to cut the concrete, to cut the pipe, to cut almost anything, rebar. And then if an emergency, you're in a tight spot, we got this little one. This one is battery operated too, but at the same time, it doesn't last that long, so it's only like for emergencies or hard spots to get. As far as this right here, these are for your mechanical fittings. This is MJ, they call it MJ. This is to tighten your bolts. And like I said earlier, you usually use these right here, your impact drill, with this. But in certain cases that you can't get this drill there, you're gonna have to use your MJ. And this is called an MJ hammer too. This is to get your gaskets all around, to make sure your fitting's nice and tight. And that's about it. And these are most commonly used for water when you do taps. Well, also that, we have a tap machine. Let me get it. This right here is a tap machine. This right here is a tap machine. When you're dealing with water and we're doing taps, say the line is for 3/4, 1 inch, depending what it is. You use different sizes, and then you got to know what bits for what, because this could be reductile iron, and this is for PVC. So depending on what you're doing, you got to know what you're doing as far as what water pipe is there. And this is the actual tap machine itself. And this, we got different sizes too. You got your 3/4, you got your 1 inch, you got your 1.5 inch, and you got your 2 inch. So depending what tap you're doing, and then you're gonna use the bid, you have to change this out every time you use it. You gotta make sure it's well lubricated. And each bid, this is where you attach your bids to, depending on what you're gonna do. Like right now it's for 3/4, so that's why we have a 3/4 bid on there. And since it's 3/4, this would go on there easily. But you gotta make sure you know how to break this down and how to put it back together, because that's gonna be asked of you whenever you wanna do a tap. And you always wanna make sure you know what kind of pipe you're using. So this is the tap machine that we use. And this is your ratchet that goes with it. This obviously goes here on top. And you'll fill it. And if you know how to use this, don't worry. As long as you know this is a tap machine, and whenever you come to work, they'll teach you how to use it little by little, as far as depending on what you wanna do in this company. But that goes with that. And you always have to break it down because it won't fit. So you always have to make sure you take off your bids. Just make sure it's clean and well lubricated all the time. because you will be using this a lot. You always want to make sure you keep up with this. So that's your tap machine right there. And like I said, it has all the different sizes. And depending on what you're gonna do and what pipe's on the ground, that's the bit that you're gonna use. So that's the tap machine, that's for water too. And also with just the equipment that the operators use, they might ask you to get on the roller, on the sweeper, on the, depending on what you know how to use, but those are the most basic ones that anybody could get on, and it's more like common sense of how to get on them and use them. But that's all the tools that we'll be using. The other thing is the chipping hammer, which will be this one right here. This is a Hilti chipping hammer. And this, we always use this to break out, we have to break rock that's in our way when we're trying to lay the pipe, or when we just have to break down a pipe, we'll use this chipping hammer to chip, or to make holes. We also use this other one right here. This is a little DeWalt one. This is also a little chipping hammer, but it's smaller. And usually we use this one to make for our rebar. We put the rebar 1/2 inch. That's the one that usually for underground utility work, you're always gonna use 1/2 inch rebar most of the time. So that's why we got this, and this is how we make our collars. Build our collars with this, and this is what we use to draw our rebar. So we have to use this and tie wire. And with the tie wire, like I said, they'll tell you how to use all that stuff here. And basically that's all the tools we use. This to whenever you're forming, sometimes we've got to set forms, so we've got to cut plywood, so we use this. This is a saw. And any other thing that you might need is with the ladders. We use ladders all the time, your shovels. Make sure you always have your hard hat, your glasses when you're on the job site. And it's really about safety here, because they take that serious here. Safety is the one of the main things that they kind of push here. That's why you have to have your harness. Make sure you have your hard hat, steel toe boots, your glasses when you're on the job site. And you'll have inspectors here looking at you all the time and making sure that you have your proper PPA. And that's about it that we have. Other than that, it will probably be, these are the big pumps that I was talking about. These are the other submerged pumps, but these are the big pumps. Like when you're doing your tie-ins, you cut in your old pipe, there's gonna be water that the city can't stop, so you're gonna have to use these big pumps, take out the water in order for you to do your tie-in. This is just a basic generator we use to get power. That's another submerged pump. And these are our hoses. Okay, so those are the tools that we use. And as far as you being afraid to come here and not thinking that you're not gonna know about the tools or something, that you always could ask somebody. Someone's always here willing to help and help you out to better understand the tools and for your safety, for you to cooperate the material right and the tools, and for like that you won't get hurt. And that's what we do with all this stuff here, that try to always be safety for yourself and for the ones around you. So don't be afraid to ask any questions, because it's better to know about something than not know and do it incorrectly.